Welcome, everyone, to the Leadership in Quarters podcast, the interview series where leaders come to share their perspectives on different leadership topics. I'm Josh Seldin, and today's guest is Hanna Bauer. Hanna Bauer is the founder and CEO of Heartnomics Enterprises, a leadership and business transformation company that helps leaders align values, mission, and systems for real impact. A medical breakthrough as a child, she's now dedicated her life to helping others turn adversity into growth, leading with love and excellence. Hanna is also a faculty member of the Maxwell Leadership Team and the author of the book, Hustle with Heart, 52 Mini Shifts to Maximize Your Impact. So welcome, Hanna.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here with you this morning.
Yeah, me too. And I'm super excited to hear from you. I'd love to talk about how people find their purpose and how they use that to have their impact and their performance in their leadership style in their daily lives.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for asking. Actually, the whole idea really came to the front because sometimes we don't really take the time to think, oh, what's my purpose? We go through
Mhm.
life, we get stuck in all the daily grind. But I remember my mentor, John Maxwell, when he said there were two great days in a person's life, the day that they're born and the day they find out why. Purpose goes to the why. And what I'm coming to find as I do a lot of work with organizations and leaders, it's this whole burnout, heaviness, tiredness that is coming there. And I don't know if you know, a little bit of a geek for doing the root cause analysis. My background is in Black Belt as a Six Sigma. But in doing the root cause analysis, what I've come to find out is it usually, I would say 9.9, and I would love to say 10 out of 10, it is a misalignment with their purpose coming in that when doing the stuff becomes the purpose instead of why are we doing the things that we're doing. How do we come to realize that, first of all, we may not be operating on purpose? Is this flat feeling, this heaviness feeling, this burned out, this, oh my gosh, I have to do it one more time? That's a clear indication of a lack of purpose. And that might be faster to see than, oh, I'm on purpose today. Sometimes like it's like you have to realize it. We take a lot of things for granted. So what I've come to find is usually people realize more that they're missing something instead of necessarily being intentional. Now, when you do realize, hey, I am on purpose, there is that different feeling. There is that excitement. Doesn't mean that things are going to get any less complicated. Life is complicated. It's just, it gets that much exciting, easier curiosity. So, how do you start finding out your purpose? How do you get in touch with purpose? First of all, the question, do I know what my purpose is? Am I in purpose today? How curious am I today about today? That's a great question. When's the last time you asked yourself that? Even when we talk about when's the last time you learned something new, even that
Yeah.
newness that comes in with it. Purposeful things doesn't again mean that it's a easy coasting through life. Not at
Mhm.
all. It just means that those times it just helps you to continuously look for a way. And even though you may not be getting the rewards, but usually you don't get the rewards right away,
Right.
you continue moving forward because you know there's something so much greater at the other end and the fulfillment that comes from it. So there's purpose as far as what we give to the world, but the other half to that is the fulfillment that we
Mhm.
receive from being in our purpose.
You mentioned something about whether we stop and ask if we're on purpose. And I feel like that's something that people don't ever do today because we're just so busy and we just hop from one fire to the next and we hop from this one thing to the next. We don't even give ourselves a chance to celebrate that we've accomplished what we're currently working on before we jump to the next thing. You don't see people stop and reflect to exactly what you said. Am I really serving the purpose that I want to be serving? Am I on my purpose? We just don't give ourselves that time today.
No, we really don't. And honestly, I mean, that's why we find a lot of this burnout. We find that in organizations. We find a lot of waste. We call it is waste. Why is it waste? Because an organization has a mission and a vision. Essentially,
Mhm.
that's their purpose. Their value is how. But when the leaders, when the people in there are not using that as the filter for what should I do, what shouldn't I do, what decisions do I make, what decisions I don't make, it becomes wasteful, it becomes very much busy. And the
Right.
same thing happens with a person. When you're not on purpose, suddenly every opportunity may seem like a great opportunity, although
Right.
they're not great. Or any opportunity at all, you may go right after that because you're not like, oh, I don't know, let's just go for it. Which is,
Yeah.
there's a goodness in going for stuff, but there has to come to a point where you become strategic. Once you go for it, there's a way that you're also measuring, oh, that was a good idea, that was not a good idea.
Right.
I know I've said yes to things and I was like, yeah, that sounded great. And then, oh my gosh, what did I do? And then it goes back to, you know what? Deep down, I knew I should have said no. And I said that deep down is your purpose also talking
Mhm.
that deep down. And sometimes we confuse purpose with our role. I mentioned to you, I'm a mom of five. I got five kids. And there was a time I had three in diapers and I had four teenagers under the same roof. I
Oh
mean,
my gosh.
I talk about testing my purpose.
Yeah.
But we tend to confuse the role that, okay, that's my purpose. No, that this is a role I execute. I am still in purpose. If
Mm,
the purpose I have internally to be able to multiply leaders, to be able to find fulfillment in life, to be able to help others with purpose is still there. It may look a bit different, is to express even in motherhood. Oh my goodness, as a parent, you're learning a lot of lessons in leadership. All of that is still on purpose. So also not confusing because I find that with great leaders too, when the roles change
mhm.
or when there's transitions, there's a whole chaos of everything because their purpose has been lost. And we tend to confuse also the purpose with the role that we're serving. And it's different. Like right now, my kids are older. Doesn't mean I've lost my purpose and I'm lost in life trying to
Right.
find. But there, it happens. There's even like the empty nest syndrome. There's things because yes, every transition will question your purpose, and that's also a great time to ask when you're going through those transitions. If you are listening, you're a leader, you're going through transitions as you are going different transitions in life, seasons in life, even with age, with things, it's also a great opportunity to take that time in that transition to ask and get back in touch with that purpose.
Right. I was talking to one of my leaders probably a couple weeks ago about this too. I think the biggest transition in life that a lot of people struggle with is retirement. And exactly what you're saying is what happens. People confuse purpose with their role, with their job, and their job becomes who they are
Yeah.
and blurs that line of purpose. And then somebody retires and then they don't know who they are. They don't know what to do with life because they've made their job their identity and they lose their purpose.
Oh, 100%. And actually, you see that generationally. There's huge generations. The way that loyalty or careers or what we do is look different now by the younger generation than it did for our older generation that
Right.
really lived around where you worked. Your entire social circle was who you worked with, and
Yep.
then who you were as a person is what you did. As a matter of fact, it's like this next question after what's your name? What do you do?
Exactly.
Right. It's so kind of what's your purpose? Why are you breathing? And it goes right
That's
along
right.
with what do you do? Yes, retirement is a time. And when we come to find that, unfortunately, that people have that loss of purpose. And what happens when they have that loss of purpose? Suddenly illnesses start coming up quicker.
Right.
The loss of energy comes up really quick. Something that where you had a very operating energetic person could do very high level things. Once that position has
That's it.
ended that stage, suddenly you see a decline
Yep.
in mental health, in physical health, even social things, because socially things look different,
Right.
friends look different, interaction looks different. And that also is the effect that we have, doesn't matter what age, when you're not on purpose. We're
Right.
more open to illness, we're more open to isolation, we are open to not having the mental health imbalance. And it's such a true thing. Also, culturally, a
Mm.
lot of cultures do embody the entire being with what they do. And it's something that even our last names, you had like fisherman, you had tailor, you had farmer,
Yeah.
like our last names
Mm.
came from
Our
what
jobs.
we did, our
Yeah.
jobs, our roles. It does take work and being intentionality from today, not later on. It's a great time. And so if you're going through a time right now, it's a great time to get in touch with your purpose. If you're going
That's
through a
right.
transition, it's a great time with purpose. So also the great time to get in touch with your purpose is today.
That's right.
And it's very simple. It's very simple. Something that we have to do in touch every single day. And it goes back to the curiosity, it's talking about that gratefulness, it's talking about am I feeling pulled also by my future? Because that's the other part. It's like this pulling that you get. And you say you want to stop. Sometimes you're too tired, but you really can't stop because it's so much greater.
Yeah.
And you do crazy things. We then tend to do crazy things when you're on purpose because there's this passion that goes with it. I do welcome everyone to take a moment today. Today is the best day to get in touch and ask about your purpose.
That's right. And you said a word. I was going to ask about it, but you said it. So we'll talk it now is passion.
Yeah.
I feel
Ah,
like people confuse passion and purpose a lot and they think they're the same thing. So can you let us know what you think? Are passion and purpose the same thing, or are they two kind of separate entities that may support each other, but purpose is that overall overarching theme compared to passion?
if you think about passion, when we talk about passion, when we're talking about love, and we're talking about it's a greater expression of love. So we say passionate, we just like, well, don't just love. I might love a burger, but you're passionate about what you do.
Yeah.
So we take the word passion is even like this greater thing, which it is. It's a greater expression of love. But how does love and purpose and passion happen? Well, with purpose, you execute it with passion. If purpose feeds into that passion,
Mhm.
it also causes frustration. So don't think that passion is like this
It's
makes me
magic.
feel good.
Yeah.
No. One of the things that passion will do is frustrate you. Think
Yeah.
about the relationships. People that you love, my goodness, they frustrate. It's like, why can't you see this?
Yes.
It is the same thing. Your passion, your purpose will frustrate you as well. So it is an indicator. When we talk about love, I teach a lot of organizations about the leadership, leading with love and excellence, because love requires to show up in empathy, to show up with caring for your people. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. If you're not going to give any instruction to my people, I gotta love them. I
That's
gotta
right.
show, they gotta know that I love them. It's not me to say I love you, but they have to also see that I love them. So there have to be signs to that. What are
Mhm.
signs to love? What are signs to passion? So the purpose will definitely give you that passion, but also the passion, the fulfillment that you get back from being operating in that purpose is very much tied to being on purpose. Because that's the other part. Remember, we talk about even with, well, we have teenagers. I don't know if you do, like even like the puppy love, like the suffering that comes
Right.
from passion. So those are also signs. It's not the things that don't leave you alone. So yes, passion is an indicator of your purpose, because that will also fulfillment. Because if you think about when you're passionate about your kids and when you give them a gift and the way that they respond is it's so much like using the words awesomer, it's
Yeah.
so much greater than you might give it to a stranger and it's awesome,
Yeah.
but it doesn't feel like when your kids
There's
like
something.
when you how old is that? And that goes along with your passion too, because you're passionate about your kids. So you also see there's a greater reward that
Right.
comes when you're doing that. And that goes with your purpose. The passion is an indicator of how you are doing on your purpose. It is the frustrations, it is the pain, it is the sacrificial, because love is sacrificial. Passion is even being a greater expression of love. It is going to be sacrificed for a lot of solopreneurs and entrepreneurs out there, leaving a 40-hour job to work 80 hours for yourself for less pay. But you're passionate. And you know
Yeah.
what? You don't mind because you are operating in your like, this is what I love to do. And so you could feel this is where some people have said that if you love what you don't work a day in life. So there's some people that say that. You know, some people say, no, I work, I love what I do, and I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
But exhaustion also comes from that passion. You think about the passion gives you hope. And then delayed hope, it can be tiring, it can be frustrated. So any
Mhm.
delayed that is seeing utilizing passion for the amazing, powerful energy, feeling, emotion that it is to 100% feed into your purpose, tell you where you are in your purpose, and be able to live, be fulfilled by that passion. Because when you follow that passion and you are able to operate in it too, there's a great fulfillment that comes from it, even greater than other things.
You keep using that word too, and I love it. I was going to touch on that as fulfillment. And I think that's something else people don't ever trigger on. I feel like it's this internal gut check with what you're doing. If you feel that you're fulfilled, you are moving in the right direction on that passion and that purpose side. But how do people really stop and reflect on their fulfillment? And how can fulfillment help in that journey of trying to find and stick to your passion and your purpose?
Oh, if you think about fulfillment, we hear some words that talk about it, like well-being, for
Mm,
example. Business. People talk about, I think another way people express fulfillment is that work-life balance. People look at that, the word fulfillment sometimes is expressed in different ways, but really, if you go back to it, is realizing that we tend to think of fulfillment also as tied with success. But we tend to view success like a ladder. If I do this, it's going to get this, it's going to get this. So like
excellent.
success is like
Yep.
this. When success is really like this, it's like it's going up and down. Like that's up and it's down, it's up and it's down, there's all this stuff. That so what happens then in those ups and then downs, there's still that fulfillment, there's still
Mhm.
that rhythm because it's gonna be a part of it. But realizing too that if I'm looking to be successful, and this is what I see a lot of great high performers that do, because they tend to apply success to only one area of their lives, where it might be only work, or it might be only like even fitness, or it may be only certain things. By realizing when you're putting all the focus on one thing, what happens to the other things?
Right.
They may
They
slow
fall.
down. It may not be exactly. So when you're talking about fulfillment, it's a consistent awareness of these areas in your life when you are putting, because there's going to be times. You have a child that gets sick. When you yourself are going to get sick, you're going to have to spend more time dealing with health than dealing with work. It is the right thing to do.
Right.
It's not wrong. It's the right thing. So you can't be like always balanced. I'm going to spend this equal amount of time in work, equal amount of time in health, equal amount of time in family. So it's not a balanced question. It's a fulfillment question.
Mhm.
How am I taking care of the different areas that even when I have to be taking withdrawals, not being
Right.
able put in the time, all the things, they're still being taken care of, and I'm still able to receive from that. But we have to be aware to be working on them. Nothing happens by accident. Success
Right.
doesn't happen by accident in health. It doesn't happen in success in family. You're not paying attention to your family, you're not going to be successful in it. Same
No.
thing with your work. Same thing with your finances. The different areas that we're looking at. So when you're looking at fulfillment, is that knowing of where you are in those different areas of your life, but also in the receiving. How am I receiving from that? And you said it, we don't take times to celebrate. And
Right.
absolutely, celebration is 100% with fulfillment. It will raise your fulfillment. What are you grateful for? And that's the other part I see with leaders. It's always like this give, which, yes, understandably,
Right.
but you can't give what you don't have. And you can't be adding value to others by devaluing yourself. And how do I devalue myself? By devaluing my time,
Mhm.
devaluing my family, devaluing my resources. So I can't be in this acting like I have an unlimited amount of resource and energy given to everybody else if I don't also take the time to be fulfilled in what I do. So fulfillment is going to help me fill my cup.
Right.
Fulfillment in what I do and how I talk to people is going to help me be able to not only raise up, I open myself to receiving. And that's the other part. It takes humbleness fulfilled. It takes humbleness to be open to receive back from the purpose and operating in your purpose. It's going to take an attitude for me to also receive from the great work we do. And that is, yes, celebrating. That is encouraging. That is giving yourself a break. That
Yeah.
is taking rest. Look at everything that needs to rest. Even our computers need to rest. I need to reboot.
Yeah.
Rest. You give rest. It's a way to fulfill. It's, hey, you did good. Take a break.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, it's good.
Exactly.
Mine, you did well.
And people don't realize too that as leaders, everybody watches us. So when we don't do everything you just said, that's what everybody's going to think the norm is. Everybody's going to think that's okay. And then it just spreads. That's why I feel like burnout and all these other things just spread like wildfire because all of the new generations coming into the workforce and they're coming out of school, whether it's high school, college, whatever, they don't know anything other than what they're learning at their job. And if what they're learning, the first thing they're learning is this, then this becomes the norm. And then that just sends everybody down a terrible path.
Oh my gosh, Josh, you're absolutely right in that. Think about what's the example that we're giving to the new generations. And what we're seeing, the new generations, what they're saying about leadership is, I don't want it.
Right.
I don't want that. If that's what it's going to look like, you always have to be there all the time, giving 100%, beyond 100%. Nobody's with you. You're mad all the time. I don't want it. I'm good. I'm going to go, I'm going to do my own thing, my own time. It is so key that we are operating in leaders in a way that invites others to leadership because leadership is one of the greatest service. It is the greatest service. It is a sacrificial service. In leadership, we also have to learn to enjoy it. It's not something we do, it's an expression of who we are. And a leader doesn't just know the way or guide the way, a leader also shows the way. 100% the way that you show up as a leader, how you're enjoying leadership, the fun in leadership, making it fun. Leadership is fun. You need to do things. Come on, play Follow the Leader. Those one of the greatest songs still of all, Follow the Leader, Leader.
Yeah.
We like it. We like things is when we're following somebody else and it's like a whole group. We like to do things together. So leadership can definitely be fun, but it's also can be excellent. And it has to be excellent because leadership, what it does is it takes us somewhere. It
Right.
takes us somewhere together that we haven't quite ever been there. That's why it's a vision that hasn't yet been fulfilled. That's why it's a purpose that
Mhm.
hasn't yet been fulfilled. It's going to take self-leadership to be on track with your purpose, just like it's going to take leadership for organizations to accomplish that vision that we're looking to do. And it's going to take that inner leadership and invitation for others to come in our journey. And absolutely, how we show up is going to be 100% the greatest invitation that you're going to have. Not what you say, how you're showing up, what you do, and how you look like when you're doing it. Enjoy it.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because I think you brought up a good point. It's not just like I said, where somebody sees this and thinks it's the norm and they're going to start copying it. And I think people do that and that's why they burn out. But a lot of it too, to your point, is they see it and they're like, I don't want to get anywhere near that. I don't want to do that. And it reminded me of a LinkedIn post I actually just commented on a couple days ago where they were talking about the plant manager role. And so my background's all in manufacturing.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and when I first started with the company, I wanted to be a plant manager, definitely. And then today you look at plant managers and you're like, I don't know if that's exactly what I want to do. And the
Mhm.
person who was writing the article was like, you can look at compensation and all of these things that will make people want to go do it. And my point to them was, you have to really look at the purpose and the value drivers of the person and
Mm.
evaluate the plant manager role because as we see today, especially the newer generation, compensation is not what is going to get somebody to take that next role. And when they see somebody stressed and working those 80-hour weeks and doing all these things, and not just the plant manager, any job like that,
Yeah, no,
they're
you're
going to say, my pay is enough,
right.
or the level that I can get to before that role is enough. I can get by. I'm not going to go turn my life upside down just to make this amount of money or get these kind of stocks and these things. And I think the message is changing. And as current leaders, we need to listen to that because we just keep everything the way it is today. We're not going to have anybody for these roles in the future.
Oh no, it's not going to work. The world is changing
Yeah.
fast, so we gotta change. And you are 100% right. Look, we can tell people like, oh, just don't look at that, only look at this. No, they're going to
Yeah.
look at everything.
Exactly.
It is, and it very much is about workforce retention. It's about forming up the other leaders. And unfortunately, I see some amazing, great leaders sick with no relationships. They live almost like a slave to the job and they don't even realize it. And they almost trapped. And other people see that. It's like when it's time for a position, okay, I want to promote you. No, I'm okay.
Yeah.
And that came a lot from the also from the pandemic, from the shutdowns. It started to question people like, well, I do enjoy being with my family. I do
Right.
enjoy working in this way. So it started redefining how we do work for people and valuing what you're saying is it goes go with values. It's gonna go with purpose. Because that is all part of fulfillment. At the end of the day, we get one shot at this life. That's
Right.
it.
That's
We
it.
don't get do-overs. We get one shot and it's hey, how can I make it the best that it can be? And that goes back to the purpose. And once I find out that purpose, as I'm living in that, aligning to it. That's where my passion comes in, is in finding the purpose and aligning because we can be very busy, but are we effective? Be very busy, but are we fulfilled? In the fulfillment aspect for a person, it's going to take leadership. It's going to take being a leader of your life and a fulfillment in what you do and what the help that you do others. It's going to be the fulfillment in what you do for the organizations and the purpose that you're operating for organizations.
So when people start straying from their purpose and they start not getting that fulfillment, how do you realign and get that alignment back to where they can start going back on that track instead of, I feel like when you start unaligning from where you're going, that's when you start going towards burnout. How do you get them back towards alignment so they're back on their purpose, they start getting fulfillment again?
First of all, they're gonna have to want to.
Mm.
There has to
Yeah.
be a desire. And immediately when people are like, say, it's burnout or they're fed up with things, or it's just frustrated, or it's just like the bad attitude. We tell people fix your attitude, but it
Right.
may not be an attitude problem. Attitude is how it's showing up. It's a deeper problem. It may not show up with, hey, I need help with my purpose, or I feel misaligned. People don't say that. I'm misaligned with my purpose. They don't. But what it does show is, like you said, I'm exhausted. I feel disconnected. I
Mm.
feel disconnected from everybody. I don't even know who I am anymore. You hear that a lot. I don't even know. Okay, hey, take a break. If you had a whole day free today, what would you do first? Oh, if you run into people, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what finds fulfillment. I said most people will say sleep. Oh, that's the first thing. Oh yeah, I would sleep the whole time. But okay, so you sleep. As that is social, you're gonna sleep the rest of your time, which is necessary. Definitely sleep, y'all. Everybody,
Yes, please.
but you start thinking, when have somebody been misaligned? When they no longer know what they enjoy,
Mm.
when they no longer know, I don't know what I want. Okay, if you had a chance to do anything right now, what would you do?
I don't know.
Crickets. That's where you start feeling the misalignment. And it didn't just happen. You look at kids, we don't have to tell them to stay busy. We don't have to tell them, hey, you like this. They do it.
Yeah.
So it's in us, it's in our DNA. We're curious about our world. They get themselves busy. They get themselves busy in things that they're not supposed to get busy in.
Yeah.
Don't touch that, you're gonna hurt yourself. So when you realize when you have lost that as an adult, where you really just don't feel like doing anything, where you just don't
Mm.
really who you are or don't find what gives you satisfaction or if you're doing for fun or even what's one thing you haven't done or even bucket list do you
Right.
have bucket list, things that you like would like to see in this world, in this life, you'll start seeing that those are signs of misalignment. I have not been feeding my purpose. I have not been operating in purpose, so much so that I have forgotten my purpose. I have forgotten why I started this to begin with, why I took this position, this opportunity. Why am I doing what I'm doing? That's how it shows up. So once you have it showed up, is then, yeah, asking that question. So let's get back to the purpose.
Hmm.
With people, I love assessments. So one of the things I do is I have a purpose assessment.
Oh, wow.
It's a whole report. It gives you 40 something pages on your purpose, and then we brief and we talk about it, and we're able to talk about the nurture thing versus the nature thing. There's some
Right.
acquired skills that you have, there's some acquired desires that you want, and there's some natural ones that you
Mm.
have. There's some natural ones that you have been acquired for. So people talk about their strength zone. So that is a skill. That's like when you operate in your purpose, but really understanding where do I best shine? What is really going to give me that fulfillment? How do I receive that? That's what we start working on. So 100%, if you find yourself in misalignment, if you find yourself like, hey, I don't really know, or in a transition, and that happens, that shows up. It
Mm.
really shows up. When does this show up? Transitions.
Transition.
It can be a loss. It can be even the
Right.
birth of a child will make you question everything. What am I
Yeah.
doing? So there are good things, there are tragedies that happen, even amounts of money, even like people that
Mhm.
inherit money. I see that loss and purpose. Okay, what do I do with this? Okay, there's only so much. Okay, I went to my favorite restaurant every day already. I still have inheritance left. What do I do? So you start seeing that. So it's understanding, one, acknowledgement. Where am I? Because that's going to take. Then also engagement, finding out help. Again, coach, we don't know what we don't know. It's difficult to find what we don't know we've lost. So that's
Right.
where coach comes in. That's what it is that we do what we do. So helping find those blind spots, helping have a open arena where we're able to discuss things that you may not be come to your awareness. Again, it's not something that we were like, hey, I'm out of purpose today. That's why I'm feeling flat. No.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just feeling flat. I just feel like it's been a while since I've enjoyed something. It's been a while since I've connected. But the feeling of disconnect is another one. So in the aligning then is I love to apply what I've developed is the BEAT program. And actually the BEAT program came from me having to deal with a terminal heart condition as a kid. I couldn't do much. There was a lot of things in my circumstances. There was a lot of things around my world that were telling me all that I couldn't do because I really couldn't do it. So me, like my heart was not working. It wasn't sustaining. My heart wouldn't sustain the desires or physical demands that I had to have. So I needed to
Mhm.
have help. So that's where the beat program came in. And that was one thing that nobody could ever take away from me. It was my belief. So starting in that bed, starting when I couldn't do things, when circumstances seemed unsurmountable, when there seemed to be no solution in sight because there was no cure at the
Mhm.
time for my heart problem, is I could still believe. And even once I believe, which is the first part of B, I can still engage with that belief. The belief is not to stop. Hey, start thinking into it. What is resources do I have? Who do I know that has that right now? You don't even, I mean, for me in my bed, I didn't have to go anywhere. I can start looking at the TV. I can start looking outside. I can start looking, how does this showing up in the real world, this belief that I have? So that talks to the engagement and the action being the smallest of action. Call somebody, text somebody, do something, take a cup of coffee, go buy your favorite tea, go out there, start a company.
Yeah.
The action, but the smallest of actions will trample the greatest of intention. And then finally transform, which is a transformation. It's a transformation that I'm hoping to see why I'm doing this. It's aligning with my belief. So that's the BEAT program. So that's how I help people bring back into alignment, believe, engage, act, and transform.
Perfect. I love everything I've heard, and sorry for all the listeners. We're gonna have to wrap up, but I feel like it's like one of those shows we're gonna leave on a cliffhanger. And so, if anybody wants to learn more, I'll make sure I have all of Hannah's information in the YouTube episode and the podcast post and the post on obviously all the social media platforms we have. So you can go check her out more, contact her. If you can't contact her for whatever reason, just let me know, and I'll make sure we get you guys in touch. But you can always like, follow, and subscribe to the podcast and all the podcast platforms that we have. It's my Instagram at Leading Quarters, my YouTube page at Leading Quarters, and you can email me with any questions or ideas that you may have for future episodes at leadingquarters@gmail.com. But Hannah, everybody, Hanna Bauer, thank you for everything. I feel like this is one of those topics, as we heard in the theme of all of this, that people glance over and never stop and reflect and really think about. So the fact that we were able to have an episode where you could share so much specifically about this is invaluable. So I really appreciate everything that you brought today.
Oh, thanks for making the space. Thank you for having me, Josh.